Hello, everyone. How are you? I sure hope you're doing well and having an amazing day. Well, I'm having an amazing day because I have an amazing guest today. Look, I almost cannot contain my excitement because I have wanted to interview Adelia since I first saw her, and I'm just so inspired by her story, by her courage, and just by her love of travel and traveling the world. She is so courageous and so absolutely inspiring. And I know a lot of us want to do exactly what she has done. And so today we're going to find out how, but mostly we're going to just be inspired and encouraged by her travels. So if you haven't already, go ahead and comment. Leave me a comment in the broadcast. Go ahead and leave your questions for Adelia. We're going to get to them. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, but not only on my channel, on Adelia's channel as well, and let her know that I sent you and that we are just tickled pink. Just tickled. Well, maybe I'm brown, right? Is this Rust today? To have her on the channel. And so I'm just absolutely so excited. And so let me put this link in here for you guys. Let's see. There it is. I'm going to put this link in here for you so that you can go ahead and subscribe to Adelia's channel. There it is. Boom. It should be showing up. Go ahead and subscribe to her channel and show her some support, show her some love. Hit that notification bell and let her know that Synolve sent you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Adelia. If you're not already under a rock, then you already know who she is. She is absolutely amazing. And so Adelia is better known as Picky Girl Travels the World. She's better known as Picky Girl Travels the World. And so there's the story behind that name. And if you've been on her website, on her website or on her YouTube or Instagram, then you know all about that. She is a veteran educator and traveler. She's a dedicated minimalist, something I need to know more about. Minimalism for sure. And her life guided her by three simple rules, right? She's guided by these three simple rules, and I love them. She actually has them on her wall. 1, defy convention. 2, embrace adventure. 3, regret absolutely nothing. And this is the part I honestly live for whenever I watch her videos. I live for the beginning. Of course, I live for the whole content, but I live for the beginning, and I live for her saying these 3 things because they are the things that I want to embrace and incorporate into my own life. She did exactly this, right? She's talking about this because she's done it. She did this in 2016 when she traded the American nightmare, better known as the American dream, for a 60% paying cut. Your dream is worth it, right? And the opportunity to live in Honduras. Now, I'm going to let her say the name of where she went in Honduras. I'm not even going to try to butcher it. Joining Adelia for this international adventure was her then 15-year-old daughter. And so she and her adorable miniature schnauzer. And so living and working abroad as an international educator, first in Honduras and then in China and Kuwait, afforded Adelia numerous opportunities and unique cultural experiences, which inspired her to chronicle her life as an expat on the blog Picky Girl Travels the World. To assist other licensed educators interested in working abroad at international schools, Adelia wrote the Picky Girl Travels the World Guide to Traveling Abroad, which is an ebook. And you guys need to pick that up, okay? You guys absolutely need to pick that up. It's on her website. We'll talk more about that. Additionally, she hosts the Picky Girl Travels podcast, which serves as motivation, inspiration. I told you. Validation. Look, validation. Do you hear me? Validation for Black women looking to live life on their own terms. She now lives in Mexico City. Aha. Yes, got to talk about that. Helping Black women master their money so they can travel, move abroad, and do whatever their hearts desires. Oh, this just feels good already. We're embarking on the possibility, right? You and I. Okay, it's just us in the room. We're embarking on this possibility of exploring and traveling the world. And it's time to open our hearts and our minds to traveling the world. So many times we are, where are we going to move to? We want to live abroad. We want to this. But why not just travel? Why not just travel the world and have a beautiful life and a beautiful experience? Who says you got to live one place? You can have a home base and then live life on your own terms. And that's really what we're going to do. I want to say hello to everyone, and then we're going to bring Adelia in. Milton Hubby is saying, oh, sorry. African Queen, I'm calling you hubby. Milton is saying hello to everyone. This is my hubby, everyone, and I am so grateful for him for supporting me. The only reason I ever have water and get to these interviews on time is because of hubby. And I am so grateful. Thank you, Giselle. Hope you're feeling well, G. Hope everything is well with you. Oh yeah, I follow her and the others. Yes, I know you do, right? Jam says, greetings, Queen, greetings. And thank you and welcome for being here. And Global Green Book, who's also a traveler, world traveler, blessings and all. Super excited to learn more. Thank you, Global Green Book, and I'm glad you're here. Jocelyn, good afternoon. Hey, Jocelyn, it's so good to see you. We were chatting yesterday, so it's good. I chat with Jocelyn at least 2 or 3 times a day, every day, so it's glad to see you. And to all of you who are watching the replay and coming on the broadcast, look, I know you family. I already know how you are. You guys are at work right now, so you always come on the broadcast later, and I appreciate you so much. No matter when you come on, look, you all bring up the rear in the Synolve family, and then we have these lively conversations, sometimes by email and by WhatsApp and chat. But I love you guys so much. You are amazing. Let's go ahead without further ado and just bring the queen of travel into the broadcast. Drum roll, please. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. No complaints.
No complaints. Loving your setup. Loving those pictures. Beautiful. We are so inspired and encouraged by you and all that you do, but not only in your travels, but in your heart to really inspire and encourage other women to do the same thing. Where does this love of encouraging other women and inspiring them, where does that come from?
I think it comes from I I cannot remember the girl's name now, but going around on the internet a few years back, it wasn't a meme, I guess it was a quote, be who you needed when you were younger.
Mm.
And the first part of my life was not great. And I just think like, if I had been able to see somebody else out doing the things I had hoped to do, but never really saw a way to do those things, um, how different my life would have been. So I sort of feel like I have a responsibility. Like I am doing these things, and it's the least I can do is to share them so that somebody else can benefit.
Ah, that is amazing. And what happens is when we watch you, you're just going to tell my experience. Whenever I watch you, is you get drawn in to whatever you're talking about that day because your passion is there and your heart for women, and it's so pure and it's so authentic that you just can't help but want to be a part of your story and want to be a part of your journey, by listening and by learning along the way. Many of us have had that first life experience. We're on our second, third acts. We've had that first life experience. Maybe, life wasn't as amazing as we thought it, should have been as kids or even as adults growing up. And so now there's no now we get this chance and this choice to live life on our own terms. And that is something that you are doing courageously. So I applaud you. And I'm just so inspired by your story. Well, tell us about your travels, because that's why we're here. Well, first tell us about the Picky Girl Travels the World. Where did you get that name from?
Well, I I have always, my entire life, like loved geography, loved maps, loved other cultures. So as soon as I figured out how to travel, that's all that there was. Like somebody asked my oldest daughter when I left the US, somebody was like, this isn't weird. And she's like, she always travels. So that was always my thing. I am a ridiculously picky eater, and I can say that. I know I'm not like regular folks. And so when I first like got on Instagram, I was trying to come up with a name, and I was like, well, what are these going to be pictures of? There's going to be pictures of the different places I visit and the places I travel to. And so that gave birth kind of as a joke uh, to the name Picky Girl Travels the World, because, you know, it is interesting to travel when you don't eat fruits, you don't eat vegetables, you don't eat the vast majority of the things everybody else does. So that's where that name came from. It was a joke, self-deprecating joke.
I am also a picky eater, so I understand. And I'm picky for a reason. I have food allergies. So the normal things that people can have, I cannot.
Yeah, I can't even blame it on something as legitimate as that, other than I just don't like the taste of
Certain
those
things.
things. Like everything. When regular folks eat a strawberry, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so delicious." And I'm like, "Ugh, this tastes like strawberry." So I don't have a legitimate reason other than I don't like it. And I don't believe I should have to eat things I don't like.
Well, and that's good enough. That's good enough for me. Well, tell us about your travels. You recently just came back from Italy, and
Yeah.
so I was on the live when you were discussing that, and wow.
Travel is so hard now. And I typically, pre-pandemic, in the before times, legitimately, I would travel internationally more likely than not, at least once a month, if not more than that. So I always, if I didn't have a trip planned, I got jittery. And so, of course, the pandemic shut a lot of that down. And this was my first real international trip since January of 2020. I don't really count when I moved to Mexico City from China as an international trip, because I was just trying to escape China at the time. And it's so much harder now than it used to be. That's and so right now I got a case of the sit down somewhere, which is so foreign because I never would sit down. I was always trying to book the next flight, find the next flight deal. But Italy was delicious. Italy was fabulous. It was everything it was supposed to be. It was just a little stressful sometimes.
Ah, so where did you go in Italy? Where
And
where
in Italy, we went to Venice, Bologna, and Florence for Christmas and New Year's. And really, the plan was to eat good food and drink good wine. And that is exactly what I did. So now that I'm home, I'm having to train myself. I went out to eat, I guess, last weekend, and I only ordered one entree, because when I was in Italy, it was like if there's something on the menu, I want to see what that tastes like. I would just order that too. Um, so stayed primarily in northern Italy. Typically, when I travel internationally, I try to hit multiple countries, which is definitely more complicated now with COVID restrictions.
Mhm.
Although I was able to do that by visiting the fifth smallest country in the world, San Marino, because it is completely surrounded by Italy, and they do not have separate entry requirements different than that of Italy.
Mm. Now, does so travel is a bit more difficult now, and is it basically mostly because of COVID restrictions?
It is that, and it is the ever changing nature of things. When, like, normally I would have chosen a destination for that time of year. I would have chosen that 6, 8 months out. I think we decided in November we were going
Mm,
to go to Italy in December. So that's different because things change. Like I don't want to be stuck with um, a credit from an airline or expecting a refund. I would rather not. So got to wait to the last minute to book a flight. But
mm,
because things change so often, so it's yes, keeping straight all of the COVID protocols, the COVID requirements, as well as I think about I left Mexico on December 16th
mm,
and how much things changed by the next week,
right.
let alone then 2 weeks later when I came back. So all of that is making it much more complicated, much more difficult.
And there seems to be no end in sight, but yet you can still travel and you can still do some of the things that you want to do. Well, what was one of the exciting things? I saw the beautiful picture of you by Rialto Bridge. If I
Mm-hmm.
forget.
Venice, I've been to Italy almost exactly 21 years ago. And Venice was the place I liked the least. I never needed to go back to Venice. I thought it was just old, stinky, and dirty. I'm gonna be real with y'all. But I wanted to go to the Prosecco wine region, and it
Mm,
made sense to be based in Venice to do that. So I figured I'd give it another try, and it was not horrible. So I did it, and actually, I think this was kind of the best way to see Italy because Venice specifically, because it was the off season. There were hardly any tourists there at all. So it was almost like we had the whole place to ourselves.
mm.
There were no lines because there was no one there. Um, and it didn't stink.
It
So
didn't sink.
no, it didn't stink. Um, and one of the things I came to realize is I am not a big fan of being in places that are very near water,
Mm,
because they can be moist and dank and all of that. And I think that because when I visited Venice previously, it was like in June or July.
ah,
So it was hot and ugh.
yeah, that can be different. And here's the good thing about exploration. Now you know.
Yeah.
You would not have known that if you had not gone. And so very now, how did you travel? Because I actually asked you this question as well on your live. But how did you travel while you were in Venice? Because it's a little bit different
Um, with
transportation.
in Venice, like because the airport is on land, but Venice, and we stayed in Venice
Okay.
on the canal. So we had to take a taxi, or you can take a bus, and then you have to take. We didn't do a water taxi. There's something like water taxi, I think, is the most private. This was kind of like public transit, but on the water. So I don't know if it was a water bus. I'm not sure what the thing was called, or like a ferry. We did that, but mostly it was walking, which is an interesting thing to do there because there aren't really streets. There are alleys. And so we would be out at like 10 o'clock at night, it's dark, and Google Maps is saying turn down here. And we're looking like this is some kind of alley. This is not the place you voluntarily walk into, but it was cool. And then getting around from one city to another, you've actually got quite a few options in Europe. We opted for the train. Previously, when I had been in Europe in 2020, I discovered the bus, which is awesome. It's cheap, it's comfortable, there's Wi Fi, you can charge your phone. And the train had that as well.
Mhm.
Uh, but the train is a little bit more expensive than the bus. So primarily, we got around walking and taking the train.
Ah, nice. Um, because I definitely love a walking place. I love the walking. because you get to see more, you get to kind of feel more, and you get to
Oh,
touch more.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now, you've traveled so many places, but China was one of the places that you did some teaching abroad. So, what was that experience like? And do you speak Mandarin? Do you speak?
No, I do not speak Mandarin. Um, In 2015, I was a public school teacher in Texas, but the
Hmm.
school I taught at had a sister school program with Foshan High School middle school number 3 in the southern part of China. And so I went as part of an exchange where we took
Oh,
kids, and I learned 3 words of Mandarin for that trip. And when I ended up moving to China in 2019, I knew those 3 words in Mandarin, and I learned one more.
ah,
So I have a total of 4.
you did good. You did good, and you added a word. I mean
Yes.
that's amazing. And so you also were in Honduras. What was living in Honduras like? What was that like?
I lived in the capital of Honduras, Tegucigalpa.
Ah, thank you.
With
Say that again.
Tegucigalpa. I'm not
Tegucigalpa.
even I'm not even saying it like the right way to say it, but that's close enough. Because I moved there in 2016, and at the time, first of all, Honduras is not a place that a lot of foreigners move to.
Huh.
Typically, we hear about people leaving Honduras and moving elsewhere.
Hmm.
So, when it came to doing research and finding out about what I was going to experience, that was basically non existent
Ah.
because that information just doesn't exist. Basically, I would do a Google of Tegucigalpa, Honduras, and I would find out that it was either number 1 or number 2 on the murder capital of the world list.
No.
But despite that, it was actually a really good experience, it's particularly for my daughter, who was 15 at the time. Um, the Hondurans that I interacted with, some of the kindest people in the world, would give you the shirt off their back. Um, and it really was a good experience in that it helped me clarify what it was that I was looking for in a place to live. Like, I knew Honduras was not going to be my final destination. I knew that when I took the job there, but it was a good experience. I started to learn Spanish. I did not really learn a whole lot because I wasn't putting a lot of effort in. I'll be honest. Everybody I worked with spoke English.
No.
My landlord spoke English, so I could get by with minimal Spanish, and so I did. Um, but no, it was, on the whole, it was a good experience. It is not the place for me to live because there's a lot of things that I want out of a home that I can't get there. You know,
Mm.
you talked about like walkability. Tegucigalpa was not walkable. I felt like everywhere I walked was uphill, no matter if I was coming or going. And it's a lot hotter than it is here in Mexico City. And I am not about that life anymore.
Done with that.
Yeah. But no, it was it. I am glad that I had that experience, very much so.
And we can't have those experiences if we don't get off the couch and start making plans and book the ticket, get the passport, take all the things we need to take, and dream a little. Dream a little. Well, Global Green Book is saying, I love Venice except for the water rats. Okay.
It may have been too cold because I did not see any water rats because it was like in the 40s,
Oh,
high 30s. So it might have been too cold.
might have been too cold. They were staying in. Um,
Yeah,
So one of the other places that you visited is Kuwait. How long were you in Kuwait?
too long.
No.
Um, I was supposed to be in Kuwait for a year, and my visa was delayed. So I didn't get there. I got there like 2 months later than I should have. And the day I arrived, I seriously contemplated getting back to the apartment they gave me, and my bags were still packed and leaving. But I said, let me give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's give this a try. And within a week and a half, 2 weeks, I was like, no, I already knew it was. So I was probably there 2, 3 months. Um, and basically, after I decided I was not going to stay around because it was not a great situation, and I do not stay in situations that don't serve me. Um, one of the main reasons I even contemplated moving to Kuwait, because it's not a place that offers me the things that I want. It is notorious for being the number one worst place for expats, like year after year. They are number one in that ranking. Was to travel, because geographically the location is really good. So before I left, I was like in a different country every weekend, because I was like, I might as well make the best of being here. But yeah, I did not enjoy Kuwait.
Now, what are some of the other countries you traveled to while you were there?
I went to Lebanon, Bahrain, Qatar. Um, where else did I go? I went to Qatar twice. And I feel like there's another country I went to. I'm skipping somebody else because I went to Beirut in Lebanon. Where else did I go? Dubai, and I went somewhere else. Just where, because I was working, so it was like, okay, where can I, fly out on a Thursday night, Friday morning, because the weekend would be Friday and Saturday. You would work Sunday through Thursday. Um, I'm drawing a
You
blank on what that other country was, but it had to be someplace relatively close.
Now, you went for work. So, what kind of work did you do?
I was teaching for a long time. Teaching in the Middle East was a really, really profitable thing for certified US teachers to do. It is less so now than it had been, let's say, 10 years ago. And I will also say, although my experience in Kuwait was bad, it's really tied to the quality of your employer, and my employer was poor quality, so I had a poor quality experience.
Global Green Book says, I heard Qatar was lovely. My sister moved there, and she keeps trying to get me to come there.
Yeah, no, Qatar. Yeah, that's if I were to live in the region, that is where I would be. It's got a lot going for it. I mean, it's still hot and humid, but as far as being somebody from the West and trying to adapt to living in that part of the world, I think that's a fairly soft place to land.
Now, you talked about teaching, and you also have an ebook about teaching abroad.
Yeah. I did. I wrote an ebook just sharing like all the things I had learned, because I saw lots and lots of questions about the process. What if you have to bring a spouse with you? What if you want to bring your kids? And so I put out a guide to teaching abroad, specifically for people who wanted to work at international schools. It's a different process, and it's sort of a different experience than people who are teaching English abroad, because they don't necessarily have to be a certified teacher. And teaching abroad is a way that a lot of people from the US, they get out, they start stacking cash, they're paying off student loans, like, because the package that you get as a certified teacher, like, I didn't pay rent, or if I paid rent, the school gave me the money and then I paid the rent. So my housing was taken care of. My utilities were generally taken care of. Basically, the only thing I had to pay for were groceries and my cell phone. They pay to move you there. They provide you transportation to work. If you're in the Middle East, those countries don't have income tax. And so you're making this money tax-free The work-life balance is much better than in the US. So it's a good thing. It's a good option.
It's a good option. And so, what advice would you give anyone who wants to teach abroad and not just teach English? Because I always thought, and this is just how either blind or ignorant I was. I only thought people were teaching English abroad. I did not realize. And what was like? I just thought this the other day. It's like, no, what were you thinking? Of course, there are other subjects that people want to learn and want to teach.
Well, I didn't know, because if I had known, I probably would have gone that route much sooner than I did. But I think one option people know about is the Department of Defense schools. So think about every place that there's a U.S. military installation.
Oh.
Those service members' children need to be educated. They're going to be educated in English. They want a curriculum, a system, so that when they come back to the U.S., they can do that easily. So that for a long time was the main one I knew. I had no idea that there were international schools, there were American schools that specifically were looking for English-speaking teachers who were certified in North America to teach, just like I taught geography in the US, I taught AP Human Geography in Honduras.
Wow. See, that's what I'm saying. We don't know.
Yeah, no, I didn't know either. And that, depending on the country, depending on the kind of school compared to what your earning potential is as a public school teacher in the US, it's like a whole new ball game that I didn't know existed.
And I talk about this, and I hope my daughter will watch. She usually watches both of them. My son also. They always watch the broadcast, and I usually get these little funny messages, and I know it's them. But my daughter taught here in the U.S. for a year, and then she quit. It was it's an extremely toxic situation. You have no idea. It beyond toxic. Like Dad and I went with her last day and helped get all her stuff out. It was just it's extremely toxic. And so and there is no work-life balance, and you're pulling money out of your pocket to buy supplies. So it's a whole different. You're saying it's a whole different experience.
It's a whole different. Now, again, it varies, because you don't have to look further than my experience in Kuwait to see, like, there are some shiesty places. But if you get at a solid international school that is truly an international school, it is an incredible experience. I hate to say this, but in all honesty, in the US, virtually nobody respected me as a professional educator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that comes through in multiple ways. And then here I go to another country, and people are coming to me for my opinion. And you can tell in the interaction that you have with people that they respect the work that you do. Like that alone, that's huge. And then it's not always that you make more money, but your ability to save money because you have virtually no expenses. So, because I know there's some people who start to look into it and they're like, okay, but these salaries are not great. I mean, I took a 60% pay cut to go to Honduras because I'll be honest with you, nobody teaches in Latin America because they want to make big bucks. However, even with that pay cut, I was still able to save 50% of my salary that year.
Yeah. 50%, people, 50%.
Because I didn't have any expenses.
Right. See? And that is what travel can do. It can open you up to different experiences, but financially, it can help you to save. I mean, you're saying people are paying off their student loans. I mean,
yes.
Well, it's not even fathomable for most people who live in the U.S. And then you got to pay 10 years before, even in the service industry, before you can even have those loans forgiven, which is wow. It made me too
And my daughter went to a good international school. The student teacher
smile.
ratio was ridiculously low. She was in the 10th grade. There were 7 10th graders
Wow.
total. So think about the access she had to her teachers and the relationships she was able to build with them. And I could not afford to pay for that kind of education, but because as part of my package, I got free tuition.
Hmm. See? Oh my gosh. When can we move? When can we go? Are you listening? So tell me, so what about if you want to teach on the college level? How does that work?
That those options exist as well. I just saw on Flourish in the Foreign on her IG yesterday, she posted a job opportunity for an organization that was specifically looking for college lecturers to work abroad. So, no, it's not just K 12, it's also university level as well. Many universities have campuses in other countries. Um, a lot of those campuses need like student support staff who speak English, who
Mhm.
have experience with the US system.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of opportunity out there.
I'm taking notes. So I just want y'all to know, like I got notes. I'm taking notes here. But and I have this huge pad here that I can't move that has notes. So if you're not taking notes, you should be. But you said it's flourish in the farm.
Flourish in the Foreign, she has a great podcast that highlights Black women expats living all over the world,
Mm,
doing a wide variety of things. She's had people in Spain, Australia, um, Iceland, doctors, you name it. And it's a great podcast.
so we look. First, we got to go and subscribe to Picky Girl Travels the World. That's number one. And then we got to go and we got to subscribe to Flourish in the Farm IG, and she also has a podcast. The Global Green Book says, I just subscribed to this amazing sister. This is so good.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you are enjoying it. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I you guys know how many times I've revamped my channel, but we're on to something. I revamped the channel with the sole purpose of exploring people who travel internationally. Those of you who have been with my journey for a while know that I guess about a year ago, before I got sick, that we were doing exclusively Africa. And I kind of, after we did Africa for a while, I kind of didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. And I wasn't really traveling at the time. So I was like, oh, how can I keep talking about traveling? And I'm not there yet, although this year is going to be my year. Okay. We're getting out of here this year. And so now I think we are where we want to be, which is featuring travelers around the world. So I am so grateful to have Adelia on. I'm just so grateful. Tamara is saying, greetings, ladies. Welcome, Tamara. So good to see you, sweetie. Ocean Gray is here with us, retired traveler in the house, also lived in Mexico and
Aw.
hated it. You're
Aw.
in Mexico. I
I
know.
live in Mexico City, and it was very much love at first sight for me. I talked about like living in Tegucigalpa in Honduras helped me fine tune what I was looking for in a city, and literally Mexico City checked every box. And when I came, I was like, this is it. I don't really ever need to leave here. It is my favorite place in the world. So it saddens me that Ocean Gray did not have a good experience in Mexico, because Mexico is a large country and really has a little bit of everything.
Now, what are some of the boxes? Because, we have to figure out. That's one of the things I had to really figure out. What am I looking for? And so, I'm looking for beaches. I'm looking for sand. I'm looking for warm weather, lots of fruits and vegetables. Um,
None of those things.
and herbs and sunny, and so people growing food in your own country,
Hmm.
grow food in their own country, because I mean I have been farmers, and when the federal government tells you to burn your crops and people are obviously hungry, and you know you got a pandemic going on, it's a little hard to take. It's a little hard to swallow, and then we're shipping in so much food from Mexico and Portugal and overseas. So anyway, I need to be close because hubby's parents are older. My parents are both deceased, but hubby's parents are older now. So, and we have two children, adult children who are fairly young because I'm young, and I need to get back quick. I need to be so. I'm choosing Jamaica. If that should change, y'all know.
Hmm.
If that should change, yeah, y'all know. But somewhere in the Caribbean. Now, for you, what are your check boxes? Right.
For me, like number one was access to health insurance,
Okay.
or health care. Health care. Really, I wanted to be in a country that had universal health care. But the reality is, the places I could easily get a visa versus the places that had true universal health care, that didn't match up. But the ability to have access to healthcare and getting sick would not bankrupt me. That was a big one. I did not want to have to own a car. I wanted to be able to walk, or there be a substantial public transit system. I wanted big city life. I like urban spaces. I needed a city that had a for real, legit international airport, because one of the things I learned while I was living in Honduras is just because it has the word international in the name of the airport doesn't really mean you can travel internationally from there. Um, like in Tegucigalpa, I think the airport had 4 gates. There were only like maybe 8 flights a day. If you are a world traveler like I am, that's not going to work. So, the other thing, and I will be honest, Mexico does not check this box. The other thing was about the quality of life for women. Mexico has a lot of work to do in that department. Um, when I was country shopping, really, I should be in Scandinavia. That is where I could check all of my boxes. The problem with that is one, the cold, and two, I can't qualify for a visa. So,
No.
so
Well,
you know,
that counts out. My name, Synolve, is Scandinavian and African. I'm from the research, and so although my mom traveled to France and she studied, and so I always say it was graffiti on the wall. She was skipping class, I know, and she was like, "Oh, that's Synolve," but actually, I'm sure she read it in a book. But it means a gift from the sun, and I seriously explored thinking about traveling and even living in Scandinavia because of all of the great access to healthcare and just a lot of the quality of life, as you were talking about for women.
yeah.
But it's too cold. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, and it's too cold here. No, it's too cold. So,
And no, and that's another thing that Mexico City has going for it is the weather. It is a very mild climate because of the elevation. I think today it's going to be 75, and that's pretty much typical year round, except for the month of May. That's when it gets hot, all the way up to 85. And it's in the 40s at night. It's not spring like weather. I would say it's like fall like weather, pretty much year round.
year round. Now, for those of us who have watched, I will not remember any of the shows, but all of the Mexican or Hispanic dramas, okay,
Like the
based in,
telenovelas.
right, for all of those who have what, have if you're listening, put some of the names of some one of the I cannot think of them, but anyway, Queen of the South, is that it? Anyway, um, and all you hear about when you think about Mexico is crime. You think about all of the issues that are going on in Mexico, drug lords and all that stuff. Now, here is the caveat. I live in Memphis, and Memphis was just named as the most violent city in America. And so whenever I hear people talk about, we just had a huge international rap star who's from Memphis who was killed on his way to the cookie shop. He was actually at the cookie store, and he was buying cookies for his mom. He was here to give away Thanksgiving turkeys to the community for free, and he does that every year. And so when I hear people say that, right, when I hear people talk about the crime in other places, I think, have you been to any major city in the U.S.? But what would you have to say? That's my response. But what would you have
because you're right. This is something that comes up a lot. And I think people forget, because maybe they're in it every day, how dangerous it is to live in the U.S., particularly if you are a Black person. Okay. Okay. So I weigh that versus how in danger am I elsewhere? And I am not going to downplay the fact that there are parts of this country that have serious security issues. Just like when I lived in Honduras, that's one of the reasons long-term Honduras wouldn't make sense for me, because really there, we did not go out after dark if it could be avoided. Like the way I stroll down the street here in and out of cafes, that wasn't part of my life there, because everything was behind a wall. Everything, like to take the dog to the groomer, I had to be buzzed in. That's everywhere. So the security situation in Mexico, far better than that. So there are parts of this country where cartel violence is a real thing. Where I live, that is not part of my everyday life. I do not have cartel business. I am not buying drugs. I am not trying to sell drugs. So that's not part of my everyday. This is a world-class city. Lots of major international corporations are headquartered here. Are there parts of this city that are rougher than other parts? Yeah. I used to live in a neighborhood that was a little rough around the edges. But even in that neighborhood, the number of police that would be out at night, that I could count on the police to help me out. I wasn't worried about the police maybe shooting me. Wow. I cannot underscore how valuable that is. So I would walk back from the metro at 10 p.m. at night. I didn't do that when I was in the U.S.
No.
I really didn't. Now, like I said, Mexico has a lot of work to do when it comes to protecting women. There are some issues here, but it is not all drugs and narcos and that sort of thing. I mean, the only crime I have had is I had my wallet stolen out of a bag in 2017. And half of that was my fault because I had my bag sitting on the floor and wasn't paying attention. So if I'm gonna make myself an easy mark, I can't be mad at somebody for taking advantage of it. But do I live in fear? No. When I am in the US, am I concerned that I will survive my time there? Yes, honestly. Because very much, first of all, I was a school teacher. So at any point, it could have been the day that somebody decided to shoot up the school where I worked. And I was very conscious of that. Being a Black person, I never wanted to interact with police because I knew there was a chance I might not survive that interaction. Those two things, being randomly shot or being killed by the police, are not part of my life anymore.
Yeah. And I love every time you say this, you say it with such conviction. I don't have cartel business. So,
I don't.
So cartel.
I don't. So that is not something pressing on my mind. And I just, you bring this up, like one of the Facebook groups I'm in, somebody expressed that they wanted to move to Mexico, but they're so deathly afraid of being kidnapped. Y'all, there are people who have real money in Mexico.
Right.
Ain't nobody worried about po broke me and trying to, because how they go, if somebody were to, most kidnappings are done to make money. If you kidnap me, how you gonna get the money? Who they gonna call? There's no reason for me to be a target. And as far as like petty crime, I mean, that's just
Anyway.
street sense. Like, don't be flashy, don't draw attention to yourself. Don't make yourself a mark. So yeah, I don't have cartel business.
Every time, I promise you, every time you say that, I just absolutely laugh because we don't realize, we just don't think about how, as you said, how much danger we're in just in American society. And to that point, um, my local Kroger, which is in a little town in Carterville, Tennessee, which is a small town, suburban town, predominantly white, that my husband grew up in, the Kroger was just shot up about a month or so ago. It was the first major mass shooting in a grocery store in the U.S. and one person was killed, multiple people were injured. Well, two people were killed. The gunman killed himself. Got mad at the boss because he was fired that day. Left, came back, with a boatload of guns, and shot up the whole store. This isn't necessarily heard of in other cultures. We and
No.
we don't realize that, and so much so. Hubby and I were going to go to the grocery store that day. Just so happened, hubby was like, "I ain't going." My husband's very easygoing, so he was like, "I ain't going." We went to the store, sat in the parking lot, and we're going back and forth. And I was like, "Yeah, but you want dinner, right? Because if you want dinner, we got to go to the store. You want to eat." Because I didn't want to thaw any food out. I didn't want to do anything. I was just going to grab some stuff. And he was like, "I ain't going." I was like, "What is wrong with you?" So we sat out in the grocery store and left. And then couple few hours, or not even an hour late, just a couple like 30 minutes or so later, people were. I was like, "Hey, like
Again,
the store
the thought of a grocery store being shot up, a school, a church, people just going about their everyday, like,
everyday life."
and people in the US, you hear it, but you keep going. Like, that would be, that
Terrified.
doesn't happen here. Like, that is a possibility, is just not in the realm of reality for me. At most, if I'm now, it doesn't matter if I'm in the US, it doesn't matter if I'm in Italy, if I'm in Mexico. If I'm out walking, I'm not going to like carry all my money in one place because I can be mugged or pickpocketed anywhere. But that's the kind of crime I concern myself with. But like random violence and being the victim of that,
No.
no.
And so this is one reason that travel is so good because it opens you up, right? It opens you to a whole new world that we had not even thought about. And this is why sisterhood and community are so important. If you're a solo traveler, you have got to, and I'm in the group. I probably would not be a solo traveler, but I'm in the group because they give some really good advice. You need to join Adelia's Facebook group um, because you will learn so much, but also the sisterhood of with other Black women who are travelers is immeasurable. So you have definitely got to learn that. You've definitely got to join that group as well. And I have all the links in the description for you below, so you can definitely go check those out. Everything is there. I made it easy for you. Jocelyn Martin is saying, where is asking, where do you want to travel next?
Um, Basically, I want to go everywhere. But that's like the default. How I choose a destination in the before times, I would let the travel deal usually make that determination. But with the way this pandemic is set up, I don't really chase travel deals anymore because things change. Like, I can't buy a ticket 9 months ahead of time, you know. So as of right now, what I have planned, I am headed to Panama. And I did cancel. I was going to go to the Republic of Georgia, but I have thought better of that for now. And I have canceled that portion of my trip. If everything stays on track, I should be going to Morocco and to Turkey later this spring. And I believe I might be going to Cuba in June. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
But
So
yeah, like I want to go everywhere though.
everywhere. Now, when you go to Turkey, are you going with the group to that Stephen Curry and Rashida Dow? Are you going?
Yeah, my best friend's 50th birthday is going to be in Morocco. So I was already going to, in my words, be down the street. And so when Stephanie announced that, like, oh, I'm going to be in Antalya, Turkey, and then several people were like, we should have a meetup. I was like, I'm gonna be down the street. You know, it's nothing. Particularly flying from this part of the world, I will probably fly through Istanbul anyway.
Mhm.
So I was like, yeah, I'll come through. So because I had planned to be gone for a month, and with I was gone 3 weeks for this most recent trip. Just right now with the pandemic, I don't feel like that's the best move. So I'm trying to keep my trips to 2 weeks or less, which is one of the reasons I went ahead and canceled the Republic of Georgia. I will eventually get to Georgia because it keeps coming up like this is a place you need to go. So it just won't be in March of 2022 when I first thought I would.
Mhm. She's got plans, y'all. Great question, Jocelyn. Great question. We're wrapping up, so please put your questions in the bottom. Ocean Gray is saying very informative, enjoying the chat. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for being here. Milton is saying, so sad that Memphis is at the top of the list. So sad it's at the top of the list, and we sometimes can judge other countries. That is what you.
Well, and you know what? In the US, we are fed a particular kind of propaganda that the US is the best and everybody else is trying to be us. And it's not until you travel and you experience places firsthand uh, that you start to question that and you start to see how other people are living. And it really does open up just a whole new world of possibilities for you.
Whole new one. Young Dolph, yes, absolutely. Young Dolph was the young rapper. That was sadly taken away from his family. And how heartbreaking that must be for a mom to know that you sent your baby to the store to get cookies and that's his last. And so we really, in America, really have to think about what we're doing. But you can think about that in what I call the Black Exodus movement. You can think about that as you're exiting and going to live your best life somewhere else. Ocean Gray, please understand my reasoning for not liking Mexico. No need to, no need to.
Yeah.
I hate the iguanas. Oh,
And I don't like iguanas either. Because a question I get quite a bit is about, well, what about the bugs? What about this living? What are we? I think 7,500 feet above sea level. The beauty of that, there are no iguanas. There are virtually, I mean, like I might see two mosquitoes during the rainy season. Um, I've never seen a roach.
oh,
Like,
okay.
so, hey, I understand. And that's why I won't live in a tropical place because I do not have time for an iguana to fall out of a tree on me. I don't want to deal with bugs and spiders and things like that. So, no, I understand.
Oh, she understands. Wow. Hello, Giselle. How are you? I had a little downtime for. Okay, well, I'm glad you were able to catch a part of the live, and I hope you'll watch the replay. The states also have a problem with work to do when it comes to, yeah, they have a lot of work to do when it comes to protecting women as well. Absolutely. The U.S. has that problem as well. We have to, we just have to rethink and where we're going to live and what we're going to do and where we're going to travel. And you've talked about this on your channel. You've had Alicia, I just want to say her name is Alicia Denise. I always get her name. You know what I'm talking about? She had did a lot about Black people and this toxic work culture. You've had that as well. I think you're frozen a bit. Yeah, you're frozen. I think you are. But yes, we have to explore because the states definitely has had this problem of protecting women. Nothing to bring up an absolutely great point, and we can do better. So I think she's going to.
There we
There
go.
we go. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I think she's.
Sorry, I don't
I
know if that was on my end or not. I am hardwired, so I don't know.
It happens. And Memphis has the worst internet in the world. So there is no telling. But yeah, the states have a problem when they something we need to deal with, right? Let's see. I've been following. Okay, glad,
Thank
glad,
you.
glad, glad. Giselle says she wants to visit Mexico. Okay. A lot of people I speak to are afraid of going to Mexico. I You have the same issues everywhere. Yeah, exactly. We've been saying that as well, and Giselle is saying hello to Milton. And also to you all are talking in the chat. I love the community that you have, that we have here on this channel. So great that we are family and we are checking on each other. Let me ask you as we're wrapping up. You talk about teaching abroad. What's your life now? What you got some amazing businesses that you coaching and all kinds of amazing things that you do.
I say I retired from K-12 education in 2020. Um, I think had I gone abroad earlier in my career, because I had already been teaching for 19 years when I went abroad. Had I gone abroad earlier in my career, it is quite possible I would still be teaching now. But at this point in my life, I I don't want to have to be at a specific place at a certain time every day. Like that is not the life I want to live. So I have retired from that, and I've I still am an educator. I do financial education and some financial coaching with that. I help Black women master their money so they can live the life they want, whether that's moving abroad, that's traveling, that's starting, whatever it is that they want to do, I'm here to help them. And so that's my primary focus now. And that's what I do. That's the work I do from where I live here in Mexico City.
Awesome. So she's very busy. She has coaching opportunities available. And so if you want to learn how to be financially savvy and how to get your plans together, your financial plans together to teach, I'm sorry, to live around the world, or teach whatever it is that you want to do, she definitely is an expert and has expertise in and she's able to help you and assist you. So I have the links below, her website, all of them in the description. So please check her out and check out her channel as well and book a session with her so that you can live the life of your dreams. Let's see, we've got one comment we're going to do before our last question, and that is I lived in the US and moved to Canada after my observation on how minorities are treated. I quickly concluded that America is not for me and for someone who wants to move abroad. In your final thoughts, what advice would you share? Someone, or even if they just want to travel, Adelia, what final thoughts would you share?
Don't let fear stop you. It's okay to have questions and have concerns and, struggle with the unknowns, but don't let that stop you if it's something that you want to do. There is, even if you can't figure out how to pull it off yourself, like I spoke to this earlier, like I didn't know how to do a lot of these things and had to figure it out. Well, there's now people like me and Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow and so many others who are out here doing it and sharing the knowledge they have. So if there's something you want to do, you want to travel, you want to move abroad, find someone who is doing that thing so that you can see how they did it.
Hmm. Such great advice. Absolutely great advice. And we are just so glad that you have joined us. So glad that you've come to chat with us and to talk with us. My ears. But anyway, that's enough story for another day. We're so glad that you, this is real life over here, people. So glad that you, Adelia, have come and spent this time with us. We've learned so much. I got big notes, y'all, and big plans. And I'm just grateful for this conversation, and I knew it would be good, and I knew that I would learn a lot, and I have. And I hope all of you will have as well. So, Adelia, thank you so much. Have an amazing day. Thank you for being gracious.
Thank you for
And
having me.
thank you. Thank you for being so gracious with your time and with your knowledge and with your energy. We love you over here. You're welcome back anytime. So
Thank
have
you.
an amazing day. Have an amazing day.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye. So, guys, what'd you learn? There is a quiz at the end, okay? All right. And for all of you who will be watching or who are watching the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you so much. You know, Replay Nation, you guys are amazing. I love you. And so, um, you guys are, and those of you are who are here in the chat, and also who are watching, who are not necessarily in the chat. I love you guys, and I thank you because I know a lot of you all are kind of chat shy for whatever reason, but I am grateful for you being here on this journey with me. Wasn't that amazing? I I did not know. Did you know? There is a quiz at the end. Did you know about teaching abroad that you could do more than just teach English? Be honest. Were you even thinking about before we had this conversation with Adelia that you could travel around the world? Yes, you can have a home base wherever you want that to be. But had you thought about Italy? Had you thought about Venice or Honduras or Kuwait or Qatar? Had you thought about these places? And so this is why I am so enamored with People Girl Travel the World and with her content. The beautiful pictures. I was gonna show some of the pictures of her travels, but you have work to do, guys. Go to her Instagram channel, her Instagram page. I've linked it below, and you'll see all of the beautiful pictures of her travels and the places that she's been. Go to her YouTube channel, and you hear the stories, more in-depth story, where she tells her journey of how she came to travel and why she began traveling or moving abroad in the first place, because it's an amazing story of courage and of just being inspired to live life on your own terms. Don't forget her three mantras that she lives by. What are they? Okay, you got to go watch the video so you can hear them again. Be sure to share. Be sure to like and share and comment on her videos when you go visit. Hit the notification bell on her channel, and let her know, of course, that I sent you. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to this channel as well if you haven't already. Let's see. Giselle is saying thank you to Piggy Girl Travels, to Adelia. I love it. And let's see. Your fear is, yes, fear is the biggest thing sometimes. That close people in your circle. That close people in your circle will try to use against you. Isn't that the truth? Right? And so you got to have courage the way that Adelia's done. What I love about People Girl Travel is that you all have a great community in Mexico. There is a great community in Mexico, and People Girl Travel World. Adelia has created a beautiful community, online community on Facebook as well. She has a Facebook group which I've linked below, especially for solo travelers. But I say go to her Facebook group because she gives a lot of the advice that she shares is good advice for everyone, and it's a great way to build community. Yes, I've heard about a lot of people. Yeah, travel the world, travel the world. The main company that was doing it. Now I'm not quite sure what that was about, sis, but I'm grateful for your comment. So let me know in the comments below. Giselle says, I love it, Synolve, and your connections, sis. So nice. Yes, life is about making connections. It's about making connections and bringing people into your world, into your circle, as Adelia said, who know more than you do. So if there's something you want to do, the advice was so perfect. I felt it in my soul. If there's something you want to do, go find that person that's doing it. I want to travel the world. Adelia is doing it. And so I obviously sought her out because she has so much expertise and so much knowledge to share. Let's see. Sanaa, they have community. Right. And a lot of women have moved. A lot of women have moved to Mexico, and it's definitely close, right? So it's somewhere if you have parents or children who are still in the U.S., it's definitely close. But you have a lot of choices. She's in Mexico City. There's a little bit of, she was saying, elevation, so she didn't have to worry about iguanas as much. And so Mexico has a lot of different views and a lot of different places that you can live. And so I hope you'll choose the right place that's right for you. Oh, Milton asked a question. Oh, do you have any issues with airport concerns, passports, visas, basically travel hangups? Well, I kind of missed that, Milton. But I tell you what, I will email Adelia and I'll ask this question and also, Milton and everyone, you can always go over to Adelia's channel on her YouTube channel and you can ask her more questions that you'd like. All right, guys, well, we're wrapping up. Milton, I'm going to email that for you today. Okay, I love you. Thank you for asking such a great question. And thank you all for being here and engaging in the content. You guys are simply amazing. And I'm grateful, so grateful to our guest, Adelia, for being with us today. We've learned a lot. She shared a lot. And there's so much more to learn as you see her travels and you see all of the amazing things that she has planned now and she has already done and the amazing plans that she has to come. So we definitely want to track with her on her journey. You look very nice today. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I kind of got all spruced up today. I thought I'd do something a little different. All right, guys. As always, I hope you learned a lot. I hope you learned a lot. Would I like to go to Mexico? There are some places in it. Just as soon as you ask me that, there is a place that I would like to go. Darn it, there are two places actually that I would like to go in Mexico, and I cannot remember their names. They're in my notes. I have to find them, Giselle. Maybe I'll report back on another video. Can't remember. Darn it, they just slipped. But anyway, yeah, there are. I would like to visit Mexico. I have been very close to the border, but I've never been to Mexico. I had an opportunity to go in high school, but my folks, no, Merida. Yes, Merida is one of the places. Merida is one of the places. And then there's another. I cannot think of. Darn it. Anyway, that I would like to go because I think Mexico is absolutely beautiful. There's some beautiful places, and I already love food, and I love margaritas. So hey, that's a win for me. That's all I need. I want to go to Merida, yes, and PB. Oh, nice, very nice. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. I'm sure you have amazing things to do, and I'm glad that you have stayed with me. Maybe can't come. Oh, nice. I know that you are. I'm grateful that you stuck around and stayed with me. I love you guys so much. Love you guys so much. Have an amazing day. You are beautiful. You are wonderful. You are amazing. You are special, and you are loved, especially right here on this journey. And you're always welcome here. Know that you are worth the experiences, all the experiences that life has to offer. And that does include travel. That includes traveling outside of the US, living outside of the US. That includes all of those things. And so I hope you give yourself that opportunity to really and truly. Love you guys so much. And Polly is here. Good to see you. Look forward to chatting with you next week. Hi, good to see you. Look forward to chatting with you as well, Pauline. Thank you for being here. Pauline's going to be my guest next week, so stick around. Stay tuned for that. I had a great interview with King Spotlight. Reminded me of great. I had a great interview with Throp. If you haven't checked out that interview with Throp, with Throp, it was really amazing. Jamaica, y'all know I'm gonna go to Jamaica. One of my favorite, and really Jamaica's all on my mind, so I forget all the other names. But King Spotlight was there. We had a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that King Spotlight has dropped by and is watching and is with us today. He is so amazing and fun. I will check out your video about Jamaica. Thank you. Yes, interviewed Mocha Moselle and Throp, and I interviewed Easton Memphis as well. Amazing people. I'm late checking in, but you're here, sir. And I am so grateful that you are here. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. All right, guys, hugs, lots of kisses and hugs. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. I love you guys so much. And as always, I'm going to see you in another video real soon. Bye bye, guys. Love you so much. Hugs. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing day.